All right, so hey everybody, and welcome to the FFL Solidity team call. My name is Marisa Maggio. Super excited to be on with you guys today as we're going into week 2 of 5 of August here in 2023. We do have a really special guest on with us today, somebody that we've had on with us before, but to be quite honest, speaking with Sam, it's almost like and Sam, like, I hope I don't weird you out in this intro here, but it's almost like you're talking to somebody who's so gracious that and work so hard that you understand where they're coming from and almost think they can connect with anybody. And Sam, I say that in the most loving way, but Sam seems to work really hard. He's willing to essentially invest in different lead resources, go down different avenues, and the objections that I've seen Sam overcome, just generally speaking, I would love to say like I've overcame the same ones, but I probably haven't. Sam has just been a killer in this industry, still newer in the industry, and just really excited for him. So Sam, how are you doing today? And thank you so much for being on.
I'm doing great, Marisa. Thank you for having me on. I love your group, and you guys are always super supportive and super hardworking. So I appreciate you guys wanting to invite me on, and hopefully I can help anybody that's on. So
No doubt that you will. And just to kind of hit the call off, Sam, if you don't mind, just give us a short intro, kind of, who you are, what you were doing before FFL, what got you into FFL.
yeah, absolutely. So I have been with FFL for about 2.5 years now. I got started in March of 2021, and before that, I was going to college, and I was working just some manual labor jobs. I was washing semi trucks in the Mojave Desert, and I so growing up, we had kind of always I kind of grew up in like a impoverished state, impoverished area, and so growing up, I remember my parents struggling a lot with money and struggling moving house to house. So I saw the toll that took on their marriage, and growing up, I saw the toll that took on the family, and especially on my father, who had to work really, really hard in an industry that was dying. He worked in the printing industry, and once computers came around, that kind of took a huge dive. So watching all that happen, I realized one of the most important things to me was to be able to be financially secure and have financial stability. So around 20 years old, I wanted to learn how to invest and how to create a good income. And so I read Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki, and I started searching around for things that I can invest in and learn how to create cash flow and businesses and stuff like that. So I started looking at like foreign exchange, stock trading, day trading type stuff, and I wasn't very good at it. So I reached out to a buddy of mine who used to do insurance sales, and he told me about it. And I thought it was okay, but I was kind of nervous about it. I didn't think I could ever do sales, so I was like, no, not for me. A couple months go by, it stayed on my heart, and I was like, well, if I could get into sales, that's a really, really valuable skill to learn, even though I had no sympathy for salespeople at the time. So I said, you know what, maybe I can learn how to do it. Because what got me into it was leads. We didn't have to prospect. We didn't have to go door to door. We could invest in leads and work them and generate a profit and a return, which is the business model of any good business. So I said, hey, if I can do this, I could see myself helping out people with insurance that asked for it. So I got my license, got started part-time, and then I went full-time and been here since. Haven't quit yet.
Hey, and I don't think it's anytime soon, right? You might quit for like 5
Yeah.
minutes and then you come back, right? You're like,
I quit every day, and then I wake up. Yeah, I wake up, I'm like, okay, time to go back to work.
That's right. That's kind of the cycle. And guys, we say that like kiddingly, but like not kiddingly. There's going to be times in this business where you literally want to slam your phone down and you want to like just for me, like I'm like, not like an angry person, but I act out, like you might want to slam your phone down and you want to tell Barbara to take a hike. And you might want to quit. But then you come back, you call Carl and it's all cool, right? Like you gotta just bring yourself back. But Sam, I love your story and just kind of the background and the thought process, right? Like when I picked that book up, because I also picked that book up, Rich Dad Poor Dad, when I was honestly probably like it was like the first version. I was probably like 13. And I read through it and I understood it a little bit, right? But once I got older, I reread that. But it almost instills this blueprint in your mind of understanding like you're typically going to make more when you're investing in something, especially here, we're investing in something that to a point we control the outcome, right? Like we can control how many dials we can make. So I love how you talked about like that, concept still stuck with you kind of coming into this industry. I think that that's beautiful. And also just the financial stability piece, like growing up, a single mom, I can resonate with you. Seeing her work so hard, she was sick, she was going through literally stage 4 cancer, working, and I felt helpless, right? So I knew growing up, I never wanted to be in a predicament where my kids had to feel that way, or, my spouse, or anything of that sort. So really the financial freedom piece and the financial just stability, right? I think that that's huge, Sam. So without further ado, though, let's kind of jump into meat and potatoes. So Sam, I say we're like pen pals because Sam's out in California, I'm in Mass, but that's the beauty of this business. You can make friends all across the country. But with that being said, Sam, you seem like somebody who, like you said, you wake up and you get after it. You're not really like making excuses, right? Like it looks like you're in an office right now. Is that right?
I am. I'm at Albert Lau's office.
Beautiful. Like, does it get any better than that? I don't know. But with that being said, you actually made a comment earlier on a different call, and you were talking about when you first came in. Dave Richard had given you an opportunity to be on a dial team, and it kind of made you feel like you like talk to us a little bit about the involvement, the engagement, whether it be dial team or office, and kind of how that resonated with you when you first got started.
Yes. So honestly, a lot of it was I came in and I had never been in a business, or I had never met individual like business owners before, right? So I, in turn, like when you grow up and you don't have like a lot of money, like you don't really value it that much. Like you don't really see, like you don't know what you don't know. And it's funny, but like I went to a business office opening, Alondra and Josh's, when they first opened in Bakersfield, California. And Trey and Elaine drove me out there, and I got to meet Sean, and I don't know what I was expecting, but I was wearing like not sweatpants. I was wearing like jeans, a hoodie, and I was just like very, very laid back about the whole thing. And I get there, and you know, the one of the coolest things for most people in FFL is that they don't care what you look like, what you wear, or anything like that. They care at the end of the day about your work ethic and it, if you're easy to work with, if you're willing to take advice and willing to take constructive criticism. That's what we really care about here. But it was really crazy to see everybody in suits and to see how legitimate this business was, just because I'd never been to a BDM or a meeting or anything like that before. So you kind of go through this personal journey when you go from being an employee to being an independent contractor. And part of that personal journey is like plugging in and realizing not how much you need to like you are going to change, and I want you to keep all the best parts about yourself now, but you're going to change quite a bit when you go from a W-2 to a 1099, and you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time around with. So if the 5 people you spend majority of your time are negative, full of doubt, criticize others, judge others, chances are you're going to have a lot of those same traits and similarities. But if you spend time around people that are doing something, they're building a business, uh, they're encouraging, they have a high net worth, or they're profitable. You start getting around positive people that are doing something. You are going to collect their traits as well. So one of the best parts and one of the reasons I was most successful in this business was because I got involved with things in FFL and I got to meet people in FFL that are successful, that have been where I've been. Like Marisa, if you hire an agent, like when you are helping them, you're helping them because you actually want to help them get to where you're at because you've been there before. It's not because you want to be negatively constructive towards them or tell them you need to do something because I'm your upline or I want to make a dollar off of you. Like, no, like this business doesn't work like that. That's a great way to be like, that's a great way to fail in business. Like when you help someone, you want to help them earnestly because you've been where they're at. You know what I mean? I'm kind of getting a little on a soapbox, but that's what I was trying to say.
I hear you. So essentially, like to kind of go off of the question too about the office, you're saying really like the five people you surround yourself with, right? Like I know that if I went to my hometown and I was like, hey, like, and everybody was still where they were, and I picked five people up. I love everyone from my hometown, but I don't know what my mindset might look like a week later, right? Like it might not look very good. However, on the other side of that, if I decide, hey, you know what, I'm going to go down to like instead of my office, maybe I'm going to go to Eric Schmidt's office and see how they're doing things. Get myself around different people, but get myself around people who are in the business, right? Who are thinking and like-minded, you know. So really, what I hear you saying, Sam, is like you getting into an office, you getting onto those dial teams allows you to be around other people that are seeing success in ways that you want to see it, and like you said, that have already kind of went down the path that you're going down. And it makes it that much easier for you to be able to follow them because Sam, like you said, like I can truthfully say at this point, like guys, like I love you all. I want everybody on this call to have massive success, but I know at the end of the day, I don't dictate that like you do. I will tell you anything and everything, whether it's harsh or it's like harsh realities have saved my insurance career. Like you know, like the reality of you need to make 250 dials a day saved my insurance career because if I thought making 20 dials a day was the right thing to do, I would still be making 20 dials a day. And I would be like, that insurance thing was awful. Sam just, he didn't even know what he was doing, right? I'm going to blame my upline, right? Here, guys, we just want to see you win at whatever facet you want to win at. And I think that that's really important because it looks quite different for everybody. So Sam, that was awesome. And then guys, we hear it all the time. The five, you are who you surround yourself with. The top five people, if you can think of who they are right now, ask yourself, good, bad, and different. Do I need to change my surroundings a little bit? Because that's a huge thing because at the end of the day, like, you know, if you're surrounded by negative people, you can only be positive for so long, right? So Sam, kind of your mindset coming into the business, if you can bring yourself back, I know it's been a little bit of time, but coming into the business, what did your mindset look like on leads then? And what does it look like on leads today?
Yeah, so coming into the business, my mindset on leads, I didn't have the right expectation. I thought, I mean, I knew obviously every lead is not going to convert, but um, I wasn't really prepared in terms of like, oh, hey, just so you know, Marisa, you're going to buy some leads, you're going to call some people, and they're going to tell you to go kick rocks. And you have to learn how to be okay with that. Like I didn't necessarily expect that because I got like old final expense leads and I was looking at them and I was like, wow, like I had like rose tinted glasses on because I was thinking, I was like, wow, these old people, like they just really want to protect their family. All of them are gonna say yes. Like, wow, I can't wait to call these people. I bet they're so nice. I bet they're gonna give me cookies. Now there are people that do that. There are people that do that. You will find those ones. But I started calling them and my first time ever dialing and I think I made like
Sam, you froze.
one phone calls
Sam, I lost
I
you.
talked.
Now you're back. No, I lied. All right. Let's see. Sam, you can hear me? All right, so he's probably gonna pop right back on. No worries. We're gonna have to tell Albert Loud to fix the Wi-Fi. No, I'm only kidding, Albert. We love you. But he'll probably be right back on. All right. Sam, sorry about that. We looks like you froze up. We lost you for a second. You were talking about your expectations on leads when you came in. You were like, I was looking at these and I'm like, all these
I'm
people
just.
are gonna be so nice.
Can you guys hear?
I can hear you.
Sam, maybe leave and come back.
All right, guys. Well, while kind of Sam's going over that, I think he was about to dive into some gold there. But I think it's also important to set the proper expectations of what the leads are going to look like, right? Like Sam said, he didn't necessarily expect every lead to convert into a sale because then they would be called sales, not leads, right? However, he didn't necessarily know that Miss Mary, might answer the phone angry and then, hang up on it, right? But going through those motions, you have to realize that what we're doing when we're going through our leads, guys, is we're simply looking for the people who want our help, right? Sam, you're back with us? Looks like it.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Marisa. Albert forgot to pay his Wi-Fi bill.
No worries at all. You're good. You were saying essentially when you first got your leads, you were looking at them like I can't wait, to call them and the expectation, so to say, of what it was going to look like and kind of what it actually looked like.
Yeah, so the first time I went in, I wasn't preparing to be. I wasn't prepared to experience a lot of rejection. And so when I first started experiencing rejection, it was kind of shocking. Like I got hit by a bus, um, just by, you're going to call people, they're going to be rude. You just got to learn how to move on with your life. Um, so I realized that dialing was a muscle. Dealing with rejection is a muscle, and it's something that you can train and you can build over time, to where you can really get the stamina, to have a successful dial day. So it took me, first time I called for like 30 calls, talked to two people, cut. I was like, I don't, I don't know, do this insurance thing, and I booking it,
All right.
and
Sam, you're in and out again. All right. Well, hopefully Sam comes back here in just a second. But I like what he just said. Dealing with rejection is a muscle. Guys, I think that's like huge. Like I'm gonna put that like on the board behind me. Guys, like when I first came into the business, and I see this a lot like with agents who see success, like you have to be able to handle rejection. And I know that some people can say, like, throughout life, like, I'm really bad at handling rejection. I hear you. Like, nobody wants to be rejected. Like, nobody wants to be asked, like, hey, you want to go on a date? And somebody's like, no. But you have to realize that this is not the relationship that we have with the people that we're reaching out to. They filled a form out asking for our help. And whether they want to get the help or they decide that they don't want to get the help, we can't dictate that. All we can dictate is our personal response to it, right? So if every single time, like when I first, like how I learned to dial was in what we refer to as a dial pit. meaning you have like 20 people in the same room as you, which sounds awful, like to date, you know what I mean? And this is in 2015, guys, so bear with me. And like I remember my upline, he said, you know, you have to just like take this stack, here's the script, and like you just call. And that's what I did. Was it easy? No. Was it scary? Yeah. Did some people tell me yes, but did some people tell me no? Absolutely. All right, Sam, now you're outside. I know you're trying hard and I appreciate that. I think you're with us.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that.
No, you don't have to be sorry. You're literally outside right now. I appreciate you so much for that. Um, but you said you were talking about dealing with rejection as a muscle. I thought that was really strong. And I was kind of like, not like happy it cut out, but if it could cut out anywhere there, it was the best place for it to cut out. So kind of piggybacking off that.
Yeah, so I had to learn that dialing was a muscle and dealing with rejection it's the same muscle. So you just have to build up stamina in this business, and that's part of building up momentum. So it took me, first dial day, I maybe made 20 calls and I got rejected, and I was like, man, I don't know if this insurance thing is for me. But Elaine had given me a couple of appointments, and I went out and I ran them, and I was able to help a family, and that made it like real for me. It was helping out my first family and getting paid a deposit by Americo. And once I realized, like, once that kind of was cemented, then I was like, okay, I'm really ready to get into this business. So yeah, so really it was just consistent and persistent effort over time. I was able to build up some momentum. So
awesome. And I think that also says a lot about, your state of mind, so to say. It's like when you're able to view things like that, like you're able to say like dialing and dealing with rejection is a muscle and I can build it. Because guys, we can build things against ourselves or for ourselves, right? Like I'm going like for ourselves, right? We all have those against ourselves times. But my point is I think that that's a beautiful way of explaining it. And also talking about you made the 20 dials. Now, maybe if Elaine didn't give you those couple of appointments or, like it might have looked different for you, right? You might have been like, this insurance thing is not for me. And like the leads suck. It's not me. It's all those people. It's not me. However, you were able to go out there. You were able to see kind of what it looks like, experience it. And you were like, I got this. At that point, did your stance on the phone and your stances just generally change about the industry, or what did that look like?
yeah, because I believed it, because it was real for me. I think honestly, Marisa, that's one of the main reasons that I was able to stick around for a while, is because I knew Elaine and Trey had my back, and they made sure that I got my first deposit. And I think that's one thing that even like one fault that I've had in recruiting in the past is I haven't spent enough time trying to make sure the people I bring in got paid, at least got their first deposit, right? Because as soon as I got my first one, they were like, hey, now you know what to do. Now you know it works. This is the vehicle that we do. You just have to get leads every week and dial and to go see people and find the ones that want it. So honestly, I think that's one thing that I have lacked a lot with recruiting and working with agents is I haven't spent enough time with them making sure they get their first deposit, right? Because once you're brand new and you get your first deposit, the belief level is there because you have it in your account. Especially it's easier if it's a warm market recruit, like a friend, a family member, and they know you, they trust you. But especially if it's like a secondary, warm market, like someone else that knows someone that brings them in, like how I was, or even if it's the cold market. So I think getting your first deposit, when you come in, you have to be focused on getting that as fast as you can. Especially, and if you're trying to bring anybody else in, you have to be focused on helping them get their first deposit as fast as possible. Because when you're a new agent, you have an expiration date, and it's kind of like milk. So you have to make sure you get that deposit quick.
Absolutely. And I love that reference, almost like it's like milk, right? Like you have an expiration date. There's only so many days that you're going to be able to go through it. Especially by yourself too, right? So this all goes back to too. It's like, guys, get to an office, see people that are doing it. And you might say like, well, I didn't make my first sale yet. Well, like Sam said, Once you do make that first sale, you see that first deposit, it becomes real. At that point, it's game on. At that point, it's like a switch is going to turn on or it's not, right? Like if it doesn't turn on, I don't know, man, but it should definitely turn on. And absolutely, I love how you talked about hiring or helping agents get started and then helping them get their first deposit. Like you said, you knew Trey and Elaine had your back, right? And I hope everybody on this call knows, like, I got their back, like truthfully have their back, right? And with that being said, it's important to know that people believe in you, but you also have to believe in yourself, right? So Sam believed in himself enough to say, hey, Elaine, I'll take these appointments, I'll go run them, and like I'll see what happens. He believed in himself enough to do that, right? Not everybody would, believe it or not, right? So guys, take those chances that are put in front of you from your upline, whether that's, hey, let me help you out with leads. But when you take those leads, you take those appointments, you take whatever it is, help your upline help you. Don't just be like, oh, like I went to Elaine, I went to the 3 appointments and they all weren't there. Like just don't take the appointments, right? So like do the right thing, guys, in that action. But I know that essentially, Sam, you've been doing things pretty much all virtually. Is that right?
Yeah, so the past couple months, I switched to just running 100% virtual. No specific reason other than just the lead flow that I've been running has been sporadically in different counties, so it's just more efficient to do virtual.
Absolutely. So kind of just living in a big state, it's easier for you to be able to get in front of more people, right? And
Yeah.
I know that you've been working. So guys, IVR leads are essentially mortgage leads that they receive a postcard in the mail. It says, for example, Marisa Maggio about your mortgage on 123 Main Street in Malden. Please call this number. When I call the number, it's like, Marisa, you are entitled to, receive, mortgage protection in the event that you are to die or become disabled. It will pay the home off for you and for your family. How old are you? And I put my age, I put 21, right? I'm just kidding. I put, that I'm not a smoker. I don't have any major health concerns, right? So I answer these questions or I don't, or I call and I hang up. So we call and hang up, it still becomes a lead in the case that I'm going to be talking to Sam about here in just a moment. If not, if they call and they answer all the questions, it's still a lead, but as you can imagine, it's a more high intent lead with them have answered those questions. But Sam, with you going from in-home to virtual, and that I'm kind of on that similar journey with you, which has been kind of fun. Talk to us a little bit about how you open up maybe a little bit different when you're getting in front of that person, whether it's on FaceTime, on Zoom, on the phone. What does that sound like so that you feel like you're setting the appropriate stage just like you would in home?
Yeah, so I would, do you want me to focus a little bit more on appointment setting?
Okay. Like let's do like a role play on like you already set me as an appointment, but like now we're gonna get into the in-home.
Setting the table. Okay.
Yep.
Hey Marisa, how's it going?
Awesome. How are you?
I'm doing good. I think I went ahead. I sent you my insurance license and my ID. Did you get a chance to look at those?
Yeah, I did. Thank you.
Okay, awesome. You're welcome. Yeah. So, Department of Insurance, they just require to send that to every client. What I do, Marisa, is I'm a field underwriter and an insurance broker, and I specialize in mortgage protection as well as regular life insurance. So mortgage protection when you refinance or you just get a new loan, it's just coverage designed to help pay out to you and your family in the event of a death or disability. So that way you guys can either cover the whole loan, cover a large chunk of it, or protect any equity you have in the future. Does that make sense?
It does.
Cool. Now, I'm not like most agents. I don't work for one insurance company, Marisa. I'm a broker, so I work with 30 different A+ rated carriers like Mutual of Omaha, Transamerica, John Hancock, Gerber, AIG. I'm sure you've probably heard of some of those, right?
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. And it's all based off of your age, your health, and your habits. So I just asked 2 minutes of some basic health questions, 2 minutes of some basic mortgage questions. And then take me about 5 minutes, and we'll customize a plan that fits your needs and fits your budget. And most importantly, if you find something that makes sense, or when we find something that makes sense, we're going to submit a request for coverage to the insurance carriers. Request for coverage, what that is they check your driver's license, your social for your medical history, and they have you put down your account and routing number for how you'd be funding the policy if you were to get approved.
All right.
And then if you do get approved, Marisa, what they'll do is they'll actually give you what's called a 30-day free look period. So they give you 30 days to think about it, because you can't think about something before you can buy it, or you can't think about something before you get approved. And you can increase it, decrease it, or swap it out or replace it. Does that make sense?
It does.
Cool.
Perfect.
So I'll hop right into it with you. And then I'll go right into the financial inventory, and I ask all the questions on the financial inventory sheet.
And guys, I think what Sam just said is like huge. Just, I don't care if you're in home, if you're virtual, if you're both, it's like, we got to open it up and we got to let them know who we are, right? Like kind of essentially our role and purpose. You guys know that's what I call it, right? Like who you are, what we're here to do, what we're going to accomplish today. And also we're going to be taking all of the objections off the table at the front end. Now, if I got onto a Zoom with Sam, and Sam just told me that we're going to submit a request for coverage, whereas he's going to need information as my driver's license number, my social security number to link to prescriptions, and my financial institution assuming approval to make sure that they are indeed able to draft that account only upon approval. Guys, if you say all that in the beginning, and then at the end, you're like, oh, they didn't give me bank info. It's like, what? Yeah, they did. Like, you know what I mean? Usually, and Sam, correct me if I'm wrong, you're going to get it right there. Like if you're doing this virtually, guys, if you're in home, and I'm not trying to confuse anybody, but if you're in home, you don't need to be necessarily gathering the social and the bank information in your role and purpose. But if you're virtual, here's what I've learned over the past couple of months. You better include that part, because it's going to make sure you're setting the proper stage and you're not being weird. It's just very matter of fact. And when you can talk to people just very matter of fact, it's going to make it a lot easier for them too, just to understand the process. Another thing that I noticed Sam doing as he went through that is through each major point that he was making, he was pausing and he was asking me, like, does that make sense? Are you with me? Like essentially, does that make sense? Guys, if you don't ask, does that make sense? At least like 15 times in your in-home or your appointment, like, did you even do the appointment? Like, half kidding, but like I ask Rami like 1,000 times a day, like, does that make sense? Like, right? Like, I don't know if it's coming from instinct, but guys, you want to make sure that they're following you, that they're tracking along with you. And now, also just talking about how it's going to go off of age, health, and habits. I love that. I say age, health, and gender, but to be switching that to age, health, and habits. Because you're really able to talk to them about how you're requesting coverage, right? We don't make the final call. The insurance company makes the final call of if this person's approved or declined. And then the 30-day free look, just letting them know basically, hey, we can always increase it, decrease it, modify it, whatever we got to do, but let's just make sure we get you approved, is essentially the message that we're getting on the front end. And what this is going to help Sam avoid on the back end, and again, Sam, correct me if I'm wrong, is why do you need my social? Why do you need my bank information? Now it's like Sam's just going through the app, like, okay, and your social and your driver's license, right? And they're on the same page. So don't ever be scared to tell people the information you need, because at the end of the day, like one thing I think that everybody on this call could resonate with is your car insurance. Maybe not, but this is what I always think about. I have never have I ever, to the best of my knowledge, got my car insurance and it wasn't over the phone. And it wasn't just like, and what's this, and what's that, and what's this, and what's that. Like I give them every single year. I give them my social, my date of birth, my driver's license number, my actual license plate number, my banking information. It's just in their very matter of fact. I never was like, oh, who's this weirdo trying to help me with my car insurance? So guys, you want to remember, like, this is a way to do it. But if you're in home, you're virtual, it doesn't matter. But setting the table is extremely important, so you don't get that stuff on the back end. And then Sam, talk to us a little bit. You were talking about, and I know I'm kind of all over the place. I apologize, guys. You were talking a little bit about mindset with leads and how, you know, essentially you talked about dealing with rejection and dialing as a muscle, right? As you were going through your first couple of weeks of dialing, what did that look like then versus what does it look like now? Whether that's in terms of your activity style, length, is there any like game you play with, like almost to trick yourself to dial, things like that? Anything that you would say that's helped you from, you know, point A getting started to where you are now, you know, helping over 30 families a month.
Yeah, so your first 100 appointments are all going to be practice, and you need to go through those in order to figure out what your actual ratio of numbers are. I've been in this business for two years, so I have a pretty good understanding of what my numbers and my ratio is. So sorry, Trey's pulling up in the parking lot right now. He's waving at me with his silly face. Um, um, yeah, so your first 100 appointments are all going to be practice. So you need to get through those to figure out what your ratio is going to be. And what I mean by ratio is, you know, our sales system, our sales process is a funnel, right? So you get your leads and you have to put it into the funnel and dial them in order to find your appointments and find the people that are interested, right? Every lead is not going to be an interested client. So that's one filter you're going through. So you're finding the ones that are interested. Now, everyone that's interested isn't going to lead to an appointment. So that goes through another filter. Then you go through your appointments. And not every appointment leads to a presentation. So that's another filter. Then you go through your presentations and you find the ones that you sell and the ones you don't sell. Those ones that like you find your sales. So you go through this filtering system. So for instance, like it took me a while to figure it out, but every week I set a goal of making 500 dials for the week minimum. And that's usually for 2 dial days, that's around 250 dials each. And you're going to get, you know, it usually takes me around 500 or a little more to get 30 appointments to run per week. So if I run 30, typically I'm going to sit between 15 to 18 on average, sometimes less, sometimes more. And then out of those 15 sits, I'm probably going to sell on average 8 to 10, depending, sometimes less. Like last week I ran 30, I sat 13, sold 2. Sometimes you just get kicked in the butt. But then the next day you have to say, hey, I'm going to kick butt back. Time for me to kick some butt. So you have to hit it hard again. And the law of averages will play out in your favor.
Absolutely. And that's huge. I love how you talked about it's essentially a funnel. So guys, like Sam just said, to reiterate, like starts as a lead, you need your ratios, right? Like lead, interested, who books the appointment, who shows up to the appointment, right? And then whoever shows up from the appointment, who generates into a sale, right? When you can know those numbers, you can stop head faking yourself. I talk about ratios all the time, but it's typically because whoever's on the call brings up ratios. If you don't know your ratios, you're going to drive yourself bananas. Now, you might not know your ratio the first week. That's normal. You shouldn't. Nobody has a ratio the first week. However, after the first month, your first 90 days, you're able to really unpack that as long as you've tracked that information. So I think that that's huge. And Sam, thank you for kind of explaining that. Like, you know, like that's essentially is what is happening, guys. So awesome, Sam. I can't thank you enough for being on with us today. I know you're in the parking lot, and I appreciate you truly stepping out there. I can imagine it's probably wicked hot over there as well. So thank you so much. Anything you want to add before you hop off today?
Oh, it's okay, Marisa. I have a moo accidental written on myself, so in case something crazy happens, I'm covered. No, I honestly I think
don't say that.
The biggest the biggest part of this business, I feel like, is just sticking around long enough to outlast not people, but to just outlast yourself and outlast yourself getting in your own way. There's hundreds of people that have come into FFL before and after me that were, you know, hyped up, plugged up on plenty of calls or plenty of things, killing it, and then they're not even here anymore. or just there's plenty of situations like that. So if you're brand new or if you've been here for a while and you feel like, man, I feel like I haven't figured this thing out yet. Well, the thing it's a constant journey of growing, and it's not the end result that matters, but it's the process of sitting down, dialing, running appointments, going to go see families, overcoming adversity. It's a process of that in this business that really matters. It's not the call. It's not the. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, sorry, one of my headphones died. I was just gonna say pretty much, hey, there's gonna be a lot of people that come in that seem to kill it and do way better than you do. Don't compare yourself, because it's not a race against them, it's a race against your own abilities. Because for 2 years, I thought I would never get past 20K. I thought I would never ever be able to do that. I just had no idea how. And then June was a great month. I was able to help 45 families. So it really isn't a competition against others. It's a competition within yourself, because if you compare yourself to other people, it's a fallacy. Like, it doesn't make any sense.
Absolutely. And Sam, I think that was probably like the best tip that we could have all received on here. So guys, if you can receive that last message, that was really powerful. And Sam, I applaud you for being able to look at the business like that, because it just says a lot about who you are and, what you're willing to do. Race, it's you versus you, right? It's not you versus me or you versus the company, right? So I love that. Sam, thank you so much for being on. I truly appreciate it. Hope to see you soon. And thanks just for tuning in. Appreciate you.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Have a great day.
You.
All right, guys. Sam absolutely crushed that. I mean, I know his Wi-Fi was a little funky. However, he made it happen. I know that there was a ton of good information in there. And I think really what Sam hit on at the end, it can do one of two things, guys. It can make you say like, oh, well, why do people leave this industry? Well, guys, because it's not easy every single day. Like, that's why people leave, to be honest. Like, I probably have 1,000 people in my phone that I worked with in some facet at one point or another in this industry. And I don't say that in a way of like, oh, like, and they all suck. That's not, they don't all suck. Some of them are amazing people and they're killing it. But what I'm trying to say is, when you can do this, like, I just want to do better than what I was doing. I need to focus on what I'm doing. When you start focus on what everybody else is doing, what everybody else thinks about you, what everybody else might be saying about you, which, by the way, guys, like, they're probably not. Like, and I'm just being honest. Like, people probably aren't saying anything bad about you. But guys, it's a journey, right? And overcoming adversity in this industry is huge. Adversity could mean a lot of things. It could mean no shows. It could mean no sales. It could mean you can't pick the phone up. It could mean that, you've been working here for 3 years and all of a sudden you have this dry spell and you feel like, I don't even know how to sell insurance anymore, right? It can mean a lot of different things. Adversity could mean you have a health element come up, right? Adversity can mean anything. But when you overcome that, every single time you overcome adversity in this industry, it is a muscle and you do make it stronger. And the thing I love about this industry is never will I ever feel stuck in this industry, right? I don't think that that's possible. But here's what I love about the industry is never will I ever feel stuck, like I have to stay in this industry, because quite frankly, none of us do, right? But also, I'll never feel like there's no room for advancement. And to me, that was everything. It's like, if there's something that we can always be doing better, like in your 20s, like, you can be doing better in your 30s, or in your 40s, you can be doing better in your 50s or 60s, whatever it might be. No W-2 job, I don't want to say no, but to a point, they're not going to offer that much advancement. So typically, like in corporate America, and just being honest, somebody has to die, or, somebody has to leave in order for that position to open up. It just is what it is. And what I love about this industry is we have control over where we are at as individuals, as teams, and how much work we want to put into it or that we don't want to put into it. And at the end of the day, it is a journey, but it is a journey that's going to make you a better person as long as you're working through those adversities.